More than anything else, St. Andrews Bay defines the character of Panama City, what we are and what our community is like.
I was born and raised in Panama City and have always been as much on the bay or in the bay or close to the bay as possible.
I've been going out on this bay since 1948 as a boy, swimming in the water and fishing in the water. I think it's the lifeblood of Bay County.
One of my vices in life is the water. I'm a saltwater fisherman. I love it. My son loves it. We've spent just a tremendous amount of time together on the water.
I'm just kin to the water. I lived in an area growing up called the East End, and I could walk across the street to Messalina Bayou. Wherever I've lived in the state of Florida, I always have seafood shipped to me from St. Andrews Bay. So it feeds me everywhere I go.
I've lived here all my life. I'm 57 years now. And I have played and swam and fished in this bay since I can remember.
I moved here in 1957. I'm happiest when I'm out in the boat doing something here on the bay.
I've lived in Bay County all my life. I've enjoyed skiing, I've enjoyed scalloping, crabbing, anything that has to do with the water.
From the time that I realized that we owned property in Bay County, I wanted to move here. I tell my wife all the time that I don't need to take a vacation anymore. I'm on vacation. When I'm at work, I get to look at that water.
There's all kinds of reasons why I love it, but I would say right at the top was seeing my 3 boys enjoy St. Andrew Bay.
To see the people out boating with their families, I just think that's what life is about.
St. Andrews State Park, that's actually one of my children's favorite places because there's a kiddie pool on one side, and you can cross over the sand dunes, and you have the Gulf of Mexico on the other side.
Well, St. Andrew Bay is so large and geographically diverse that it takes on a different character depending on where you are.
It's not the official name, but I used to sail in what we call the Little Bay. It was calmer, more placid. And if you wanted more exciting sailing and you wanted the higher winds, you'd go out into the Big Bay, which stretches from the marina out to Shell Island. I've camped out along the shores on Redfish Point. We would be able to sail across the bay to Smack Bayou, go jump off Black Beacon until the Marine Patrol threw us off. We would just have a great time out on the bay.
I've done a lot of traveling, and I'm still yet to find a place as remarkably naturally beautiful as St. Andrew Bay. Whether it's the sugar sand or the crystal clear water, I've always enjoyed every aspect of it.
I truly do love living in this area. The quality of life in Bay County and Panama City, with basically having the Gulf as your backyard, is just phenomenal, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
It's just a great place to be and live.
When I first moved down here, it was like living in pioneer days, and I watched them pave most of the streets in this town. I've been able to see some fantastic development in the area.
Bay County has actually reached about 170,000 people. Plus, on a temporary basis, we have about 7 million visitors to this area every year.
We're going to have more and more people come to this area because it's such a beautiful area to live. The weather's great, the people are nice, and we have these tremendous natural resources.
St. Andrews Bay is one of the top economic incentives for Bay County as a whole. The wide variety of activities that draw people and keep people here are extremely important to the county.
St. Andrew Bay is an estuary of national significance because of its massive biodiversity.
St. Andrew Bay is that way because it's really an extension of the Gulf of Mexico. There's not much fresh water coming into this bay, and it's remained very deep for the last 5,000 years.
They have no major rivers or streams coming into this bay, so it has clear water and many different types of habitats. St. Andrew Bay has the second highest species count in the southeast and probably in the nation of bays.
However, being diverse doesn't mean that you're strong. Even though it's 69,000 acres, it's extremely fragile.
Stormwater management is the greatest challenge that we face today regarding the water quality of the bay.
Rainwater coming out of the sky is like nitrogen. It feeds everything. It's wonderful.
Rainwater is great. It's great for the land and it's great for the bay. But this is no longer an undeveloped area where rainwater falls on lush grasses and works its way through marshes and other vegetation.
Stormwater is not pure rainwater anymore, not with human development.
What's really happened in this country after World War II is that we started building basically sprawl. We built low density development. We've spread everybody out across the landscape in a way that forced them to use an automobile to get anywhere. And while it wasn't really understood and known at the time, we've really ended up creating much more stormwater runoff by doing that.
The increase in the number of people that have come into the area in such a short period of time has had a tremendous impact on the amount of stormwater runoff.
When it rains and rain hits impervious surfaces, be they parking lots and streets or buildings or even suburban lawns that have been slightly compacted, and the water's going to run off more than it did when it was a forest. That runoff, as it moves across the land or as it moves across a developed area, picks up pollutants.
It splats on a parking lot, picks up oils, picks up greases.
Unfortunately, by the time it gets into the bay, it's rainwater that has been across a highway or a street and into a feeder canal. So what goes into our bay sometimes is not very pleasant.
There's a lot of things that can go in that bay that we would never even dream.
I think anytime you've got fast moving water and the erosion that goes with that, you're going to have public infrastructure issues. There's contaminants in that water, everything that's on the roadway, the hydrocarbons, everything that we take for granted every day, it winds up in our water supply. I see kids out walking in this water, and I think if they knew where that water had been, they wouldn't be walking in it. As a matter of fact, in May of '08, our Emergency Operations Center flooded.
And between that and St. Andrews Bay is a fuel depot. When the water goes above that, it comes across the road.
It's not in a good location for Emergency Operations Center. The majority of people think it's in a flood zone, and it's not. It's in a storm surge zone. We didn't have a hurricane, but our building flooded. Even if it's not a direct hit for us, we get enormous amounts of rainfall. We're moving to a new center before next hurricane season, and it's a 28 feet elevation, but it doesn't mean that it won't be affected by stormwater.
A prime example of stormwater runoff is Robinson Bayou. Where does the stormwater come from that runs into Robinson Bayou? Can you believe that it originates at the Panama City Mall?
BEST has identified through their stormwater project efforts a system which they've coined City Creek.
The City Creek system really originates at the Panama City Mall, where hundreds or thousands of cars are parked on asphalt parking lot.
The mall is surrounded by concrete ditches and has been forever. That's how it was constructed.
When it rains, any oils, greases, metals that are on that parking area around the mall drain into that network of concrete ditches, and it flows under Highway 77 and works its way along 23rd Street, the Walmart and Public Shopping Center, Gulf Coast Hospital, some of the airport runoff.
All of that collectively goes straight into Robinson Bayou.
People don't realize how far-reaching trash or debris or things that they put on their lawn can be. They don't realize when they're several blocks or even miles away from the bay that it can make its way down into here.
Water is a powerful force, and it's going to seek the path of least resistance. We like to make areas look nice, and in doing that, we create a lot of places that won't absorb water, and that water's got to go someplace.
The key to the equation is stormwater management. Our failure to manage really means that we eliminate our waterways.
Grand Lagoon is one of our most important areas of concern for stormwater. When they built the bridge across Grand Lagoon, and back in those days it was more cost-effective to build causeways. And they built a causeway across there and left an opening in the middle, but removed 95% of the cross-sectional area of the lagoon. And since lagoons, by their very nature, don't flush or circulate very well anyway, that the upper part of the lagoon had a lot of difficulty exchanging water with the lower part. Then when we urbanized around it and built all kinds of homes, stormwater became a real problem. The lagoon's ability to cleanse itself was really hampered by the placement of the Grand Lagoon Bridge and causeways. There are plans to replace that bridge, and it will open up the cross-sectional area and make the circulation better in the lagoon, but that won't solve all of Grand Lagoon's problems, because we will still have to meet the challenge of managing stormwater runoff because we have people living all around the lagoon.